Hello, welcome to Pod in a Park, episode 6, where we will be discussing why we don't feel comfortable flying the American flag. It is a heavy topic. There's a lot of polarization around it. We're not burning the American flag, but we're also not flying it. We're somewhere in the middle. We're really going to start talking about our local politics, which is America, and our national politics, which is also our country. Again, I'm here with my co-host, Cameron Scott Kemsky. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for some important questions at the end. So to take it right off, Cameron, in the last episode, we talked about our experiences with politics, and namely that I have been more engaged than you have.
Right.
Now, democracy is what our country's founded off of.
Yep.
And democracy is not a spectator sport. That means that in order for you to have a democracy, you must be participatory. Cameron has not been participatory along with the majority of our population. So Cameron, can you give us some reasons why you think you haven't had as much experience as maybe you wanted or you should have?
Well, let me just say I did vote. No, I'm just kidding. I did vote.
Well, he did. Yeah, I did vote.
Well, I want to say it didn't really seem appealing to me and something that I needed to do and participate in the local government. You know, everywhere in the media that you see is like always national politics and national policy and things going on with this country as a whole. And so local politics and local government had really took a back seat. But the more that I've been sort of, intertwined with your campaign when you ran for city council, and just getting older, I've seen the importance of actually being engaged in your local politics because that's what matters, right? The same stuff, the same infighting, everything that happens at the national level just keeps happening. Nothing changes. But the one place you can make change is your local government. My most recent experience with the local establishment would be, going to my first city council meeting. When I went there, this was about the hotel being built or trying to be passed, permitting to have it built on Stockton and Sealy. Yeah, definitely a really big hotel. And when I went there and I sat there and just listened to our, our planning commission talk and, the ways that they were interacting and listening to the, what do you call them? When you have the little guests, they have little 2-minute,
So it's called public comment. Every individual who attends, they get 2 minutes to speak on that issue.
Right. And just from me just observing how they were interacting, is they didn't care. They weren't showing any sort of
they being the city council,
the planning commission, right? They were just not really in tune with what everyone was saying, and it looked like they were just going through the motions. And it just kind of really struck out to me as your job, city council or planning commission, is to make this city and this area as best as it can be for all of the citizens within. And if they're not really keeping that mindset, you're being in an ineffective government. And so that was my first real, experience with an ineffective government. And I was like, our national government seems pretty ineffective. And then I went down to the local level, and I was like, it's the same here. What is your experience with it? Because you much more, developed into the local establishment. So.
It's similar, know, and when we started the episode, we said we don't feel comfortable flying the American flag, and that's because no parts of the American flag really stand out to me as something that I value. Right. The from the socioeconomic to the political, there's no real place where I can say this is part of my country that I love and respect wholeheartedly. Now, one, yes, I am young. Two, yes, I haven't had those experiences that other countries have had where it's magnitudes worse objectively than the lifestyle is here. But I have my own issues with my country. They're different than other people's issues, but they are issues. And it's the same thing, right? It's ineffectiveness at the city level where they do not listen to their constituents, right? You saw that. They're on their phones. They're not paying attention. And actually, you take your time out of your busy schedule. You're not being paid to go to city council meetings like the city council members are. They're being paid at San Jose $115,000 a year to be city council members, right? There's a lot of reasons to go to city council meetings when you're being paid that much money, right? Now, you take your time. You're spending hours there. You only get to speak for 2 minutes, maybe 4 if you speak on multiple topics, and then there's no response.
Right.
Your voice is unresponded to. just like it is at a national level. Because you could say, I hate Trump and the electoral college is garbage, and yet you're not listened to because you have no influence. So under Cameron's ideology, well, I can go to a local level and be heard, right? Well, I will tell you, you are not heard. And this is
Right.
coming from someone who has met with city council members in their private offices in small groups of 3 and 4. I've been to countless city council meetings, countless planning commission meetings, countless other meetings, right? All of these experiences are telling me that our voices are never heard anywhere.
Right.
And if our voices are not heard by those who are leading our country, then therefore that country does not represent me, and I will not fly the flag.
Right. And two things that really resonated, or when you said really sparked my memory was, so the accessibility of like these city council meetings. Like, it's not published everywhere for everyone to see because they don't want everyone there. They want the people that they want there. In the meeting that we went to, there was the developer that was there. They want the developer there, right? San Jose is all about business. Mayor Liccardo, wants to bring Google in because he believes that Google is just going to gentrify and, activate this whole city and the area by Bird and Montgomery over there by the SAP Center. And so they just want to bend over backwards for business. And so that's who they want there. But the actual constituents and the citizens, of San Jose, they don't want there. I think their times are like either like, I don't know if that's VTAs at like 10 a.m.
They're all government meetings are at terrible times.
Right. And that's on purpose. Not the second thing, that when you said paid $115,000 a year to be on the city council or the planning commission, what that tells
just city council.
Just city council. Planning commission is probably like,
I think it's volunteer.
Really?
I don't know. Look it up.
So with city council, legislative body for policy in this city, $115,000 a year, and this city seems ineffective. Why do you deserve that salary? Now, what that stems to is, I believe that any legislative body in any government sort of position has become a career. And what I mean by that, you're like, okay, no, duh, it's a career. You train, you go to you get a degree in political science, you do all the necessary things so that you can get that job. Why is a public servant in a legislative body a job? Why is it a job? Why are you not doing it to better your community because you want to? So my grandfather, R.I.P. Grandpa Joe, he ran for Congress for New Jersey. When he was running, he was not massive, fundraising. He wasn't a figurehead where he just went and talked everywhere. What his job was to get elected and to fix problems within his community, within his district, his congressional district. And my mom was saying, and she really put in perspective for me, she's like, you still had your full-time job. You did this on the side because you wanted to make your community better. What American politics have now become is a career and a money grab, and you go to it because it's going to give you financial security for the rest of your life, but you're not actually doing the things that you need to be doing.
And maybe that statement of, I don't want to fly the American flag, you react very, passionately against it or for it. Well, if you look at it from our perspective, it's our government is there to make money.
They don't work for us.
And now, if I was making money for my government, now I understand there's some social services that some people benefit, but even those on social services have terrible quality of living. Okay, then sure, if I was getting money, I'd be more likely to fly the American flag, because just like our politicians are likely to say, I'm patriotic, I'm American, well, they're getting paid.
Yeah.
Right? I am getting minimal services from my government, minimal benefits, my quality of life, and when I try to interact with them, it's actually detrimental, right?
Yeah.
I'm having time sucked away from me. So when we say I don't like America, it's because they're not doing much for us, right? They're doing it for themselves. They're making careers out of this, right? We have senators and senators who have been there for 30, 40 years, right?
Why?
Who the hell says you're the best person to be on that seat for 40 years, right? Well, you've raised the most money, right? You have the deepest connections with the NRA and with Smith & Wesson and with Boeing, and it really is like, when there's so much money involved, you can't say they represent me, because they don't. So it's been rough. It's been rough being politically active in America. And I will say, just going back on the city council meetings, from what I've seen, the exclusionary aspect of the city council meetings, it limits it to those who are retired, those who are full-time activists, who are practically retired because they just volunteer the whole time, and then the one-off people who come because there's an issue prevalent to their own lives. For example, my whole neighborhood of 60, 70 homes showed up at city council meetings. We packed the whole chambers because they were building a 7-story hotel that was going to destroy all of our quality of lives right next to all of our homes, right? And we all showed up, but they're never going to show up again, right? Because they have busy lives, right? They can't make time. We were at the city council meeting for nearly 11 hours.
Right.
We were there till 11:30 p.m.
Right.
And okay, sure, the city council's there for that long too, but why is it so ineffective, right?
Right.
I mean, I know we're kind of rambling on this. And any last thoughts on why the city is so crummy?
I just think the priorities of the people in charge don't align with the people that supposedly they work for, right? Government's supposed to work for you. The government is only there for you. And so I just feel like it has become their agenda and not our agenda, and it's just because of the system that's been put in place. It's just it's gone unchecked. It's gone unchecked for so long, and it's become a habit. It's just become what they do, and I that's the reason. The priorities are just messed up. They're AWire. They've unaligned with what we want.
Yeah. And so taking all of this and putting it into a more national perspective, what similarities or differences do you see? I know you already touched upon it, but can you get a little more specific?
Yeah. So the similarities where I was saying with local to national is like that career driven mentality. I also believe that now, because this isn't as much as I don't really see the bipartisan polarization of political parties in the local government. I could be, it's not as prevalent as you would see on the national
It's not the
level.
main driving force.
It's not the main driving force, but on the national level, it is. It is two grinding ideologies that are just consistently. It's like two negative ends of a magnet, just keep pushing on each other. So a little bit of some statistics. Basically, after the 2018 midterm election, there is now 40% progressive Democrats in the House, and there's 38 new Democrats, or moderate Democrats. Not only call them new Democrats, they're moderate Democrats. So now the Democratic Party has now become split. Progressives are moving more to the left, and the moderates are staying obviously in the middle, and now that party has become split. As for the Republicans are seeing the same trend. Republicans are actually moving at a very faster pace, more to the right. They're moving even farther from the middle. What happens is now that these two ideologies are moving so far away and the political parties are both split, there is now just pretty much 4 factions within 2 factions that make up our government that are just consistently infighting and coming up with gridlock and just not getting anything done because I'm right, you're wrong, right? Compromise is about meeting in the middle, and I believe that is the only way politics can work and legislation can be passed to be the most beneficial for everyone involved. There's going to be losers, there's going to be winners, but the main goal is to make the most good for everyone by meeting in the middle. And so I just believe that, we're just moving so far away, and it's identity politics, and you're wrong because you're a conservative. No, you're wrong because you're a liberal. And I believe that's what's really causing a stain.
Yep. And the way that I've been talking about that is the Democrats are pointing at the Republicans and saying, I'm not that. And the Republicans are pointing at the Democrats and saying, well, I'm not that. And the real question of, sure, they're splitting farther left and right, but that's because there's no real guidance as to what they do stand for. And I do see the end of this. It is nigh. Right? It's not working at all. And I don't have anything else to add to that national. I mean, I'm not as experienced with it. But from my understanding, that's it. It's polarized. There's too much money. And when you say compromise, to me, that means putting the people first. Because if you're compromising with the wrong background, if you're compromising with a background of economic development, putting business over people, taking back end bribes, focusing on your career, then you are not a compromiser that this nation needs.
Right. And we for, the last about 15 minutes, we have been really identifying, we don't want to proudly fly the American flag due to the governmental issues. But to sort of separate from the governmental issues and say, why don't we want to raise the American flag? Let's touch a little bit more on societal issues. And do you want to kind of go into, something that you see that makes you not want to raise the American flag?
I mean, and I think one of the greatest stereotypes with the American flag is who flies it the most, right? And it's
Right.
the people who have big trucks, right? They wear it all over their body, right? And they just are completely dedicated to what this country stands for.
Right.
I mean, often they're from the South. They're white males. Whatever you picture when you see that person waving the American flag today, that is what the stereotypes become, and it's driven off of really a lack of education of what is going on. It's driven on a religious-based approach, and this is just for me talking about it. And sure, you can hate us in the comments, but this is how I feel, right? And my feelings are validated because they're my experiences, right?
Right.
All of our feelings are validated individually, but that's not who I am, right? I do not blindly follow my country because I see so many issues. We're a country that is built off genocide, right? My ancestors killed out a whole population of indigenous people, right? And then continued to colonize and destroy the world, starting wars for unjust reasons, right? Overthrowing leaders and taking dictators, putting in dictators, right? I mean, every step of our path has been inherently flawed. And even today with the prison industrial complex, slavery is still around. And there's a reason we're saying Black Lives Matter. It's because they don't matter still, right? It's because black men and women are killed all around us, and it's barely entering our earwaves on a day-to-day basis, right? It's so difficult to get behind it. But one thing I would love to add to it, because we're ready to wrap up almost, is that as part of my campaign, and if I do run again, I will absolutely hold this, is that, damn it, I will fly the American flag, because what we stand for is America, and you can't stop us from doing that, because America to each of us is a different thing. And saying it's the American dream and freedom, and it's not. Okay, the American dream is gone. The wealth gap is everywhere, right? You're either rich or you're poor, and that gap is growing, right? Freedom of press, it's all ads. It's all clickbait. We don't have freedom of press anymore, right? We don't have freedom of speech. It's just hate. It's just violence, right? So let's find a new America, right? And I'm not saying burn the flag and start anew. I'm saying this is our country still, and we are the leaders of the next generation, right? All of you watching this are, and we need to get to that point where we can fly the American flag and people understand that that stands for peace, and it stands for acceptance, and it stands for circular growth, and putting people over business, right? And putting people over government, and having inclusivity. So that's a damn goal of mine, right? By the end of my life, I want to fly that American flag with tears rolling down my face, the national anthem going behind me, and a bald eagle, on my arm, and say, this is what I stand for.
So when you said, it's a lack of education, and I'm not, we're not saying that like, oh, those people like stupid. Like, that's not what we're saying. And when you say that it's a lack of education, I believe that is so, because education is the broadening of your perspective and your experience. Those people who are the patriots, that are nationalists, that are diehard American flag, this is America, and that don't objectively look and say, wait a second, there are a lot of things wrong with this country, but I'm still going to support him. It's because they haven't broadened their perspective. They haven't put themselves in other people's shoes. And, when it comes to changing something like this, a huge embedded issue within our society from literally the birth of our country till now, that is just morphed. It's not the same thing that it was before, but the idea is still there. It's going to come from a cultural shift and people really, broadening their perspective, and that's going to come from educating themselves. So we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for guys tuning in to our episode 6. We're not really proud right now to fly the American flag, but we're going to have some more discussions on this for sure. Please go check out all of our links down in the description below. We have a GoFundMe up. Any donations help. We also have a listener review. We would really appreciate it if you guys could go on, give us your thoughts. We want to make this podcast as best as it can be for you guys. So without further ado, we'll see you guys next time.